Do you find yourself wanting to run away from the news? Perhaps you're considering a social media blackout or a mass unfriending of those whose posts are littered with different perspectives or anger and vitriol. In this week's video, I'd like to offer a different tool or tactic, one that, if practiced regularly, can lead to healing and understanding. Curious? Well, let's tap back in together. COVID. Politics. Is it called pop or soda? If you watch the news, frequent social media, or have a pulse, you may have noticed that other people's views have become inescapable. We've become a prisoner to options and opinions that are not our own, and short of a social media blackout, canceling all of our streaming services and becoming some sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi-like hermit, there isn't an easy way to change the situation. And it seems like the easiest and safest thing to do is to not engage, to become like water and flow around people's strong thoughts, worries, and fears. And to be sure, that's a valid option, especially if you're feeling stressed, oppressed, or otherwise distressed by the world and the people in it. There is another option, an option that, while challenging, can help bridge the divide between us. Understanding. As you scroll through your various social media threads, you'll notice that there are two types of posts that seem to rise to the top. People saying, "I am right," and others saying, "You are wrong." And the problem with these posts is that they often don't leave any middle ground for conversation because the responses are often, "I agree," or "You are crazy for believing that," and conflict ensues. There is another way, one that leads to understanding. In the past, I've said that the ABCs of life are always be curious. And when people post their views, there are three simple questions that can begin a dialogue instead of another insulting, ranting monologue. By asking these questions, we can begin healthy communication with another human being. Question 1. Tell me more. Give the person the gift to further explain themselves. Let them explain their ideas more fully. People like to be heard, and by giving them the option to speak further their truth, they'll be more open to keeping the dialogue going. Question 2. Why is that important to you? The answer to this question could be vitally important. You might learn something that helps you to understand why they feel the way they do. You might find out why they feel so strongly about their belief. Now, this isn't to say that you'll agree with them, but by understanding their perspective, you might just see why they feel that they are right. Question 3. What would it take to change your mind? This is the toughest question, but one that is worth asking. And they might put up some walls if you ask it with a response like, "Nothing would change my mind." If that's the case, follow up with, "Well, I get that, but if you had to guess, what do you think might change your mind?" It sounds like the same question, but creating a scenario where they have to guess often gets people thinking in a different way, and oftentimes, they'll have an answer. When we fight back against people who have opinions that are different than our own, we often alienate them and cause them to double down on their beliefs. This leads to pain, hurt, and unfriending. But when we do this, we tap out of life. By asking these three questions, we tap back in, we show compassion, and we give the other person the opportunity to be heard. And when they do that, they often are more willing to reciprocate. And when you don't have to ask all the questions either, sometimes you might repeat a variation of "tell me more" multiple times, or after asking "why is that important to you," you might follow up with "well, tell me more about that." The point, no matter which questions you use or in what order, is that you're allowing the other person's thoughts and values to matter. And when people feel like they are being taken seriously, their defenses drop and they are more open. You might not change their mind, but that shouldn't be the goal. You might, however, understand their perspective, being able to see them as a human being again, and pave the way for mutual understanding. And that's half the battle. Tap back in.